Hi, John with Jelly Digital Internet here, and today we're going to show you some tips and tricks of how to troubleshoot your system if you are having issues. Maybe you feel like the system is disconnected right now, or maybe it's running super slow, and you are reaching out to us to help you troubleshoot it. So in front of me here, I have a couple of Wi-Fi routers. This is the Velo router. This is the one. If you bought one from our website, you will see that you have this one. If you provided your own router, or you bought a different router, it's going to look somewhat like this. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to power cycle the router to troubleshoot this. So some of them come with power cords, so you just want to unplug the power from here. If it's the Velo router, unplug it, wait 5 seconds, plug it back in. If it's this one, same thing, you can unplug the power. Some of them have little buttons in the back. Very important, do not press the little red reset button. We want to power it on and off, not reset it. If you reset it, then that wipes all the settings in your name. The Wi-Fi name will not show up. So don't press a little red button, don't stick anything in the little hole. Just the simplest thing to do on any of the routers is unplug the power source, wait 10 seconds, and plug it back in. Now, we're going to wait for it to reboot and come back alive. Hopefully that will fix it. If not, let's move on to the next tip. So from the Wi-Fi router, we have an Ethernet cable that comes from the WAN port, which is, if you have a standard router, it's going to be the one that's colored differently than all the other ones. So this port here, that's going to run into our PoE device, which is the Power over Ethernet device. Now, the cable that runs from the router to the PoE device should be plugged into the LAN port. I know this is confusing because there's both white cables, which is why you want to be careful. But the cable that runs from the router to the PoE device should be plugged into the LAN port, which is the local area network port, okay? If this cable is plugged into the PoE port, very, very bad things can happen. So we want to make sure that it's plugged into the LAN port. Now, after checking that, we're going to then check out the PoE device is plugged into the wall. It's plugged into this electrical outlet here. And the first thing you want to look at is to make sure that there is a blue light on the power. If this light is off, then maybe the electrical outlet has something wrong with it, or maybe there's a switch and somebody turned the switch off, which turned the power off. You can see these are upside down electricals, which means that they're usually controlled by a switch. So that's how you can tell on those ones. If everything looks good and the power is on, what we're going to do is we're going to unplug from the electrical outlet like this. You want to unplug it from the wall like this, or from the power strip. You don't want to unplug these cables because you can get confused again. And as I just said, you want to make sure that none of these cables get unplugged, okay? So we're going to plug it, we're going to wait 10 seconds, we're going to plug it back in. And after plugging it back in, you want to wait about 10 to 15 minutes. If you're communicating with us through text message, we'll let you know when it's connected to the tower again. So those are the few basic things. And a couple other things we want to look for. If you somehow just bought a new router, let's say I have this router and this router in my house, you want to make sure to never plug two routers into each other. Very bad things happen. It's like two bosses telling you to do like multiple things. So you always want to only have one router plugged into the PoE device, never plug another router into another router. Many, many bad things happen during that time.